Good evening, everybody. Nice spring evening here in Pittsburgh, but I was just telling Becky and Jim that this is kind of fake out weather in Pittsburgh. Sometime between now and probably April 15th, we'll have another hard snowstorm. That was the main reason I moved from Pittsburgh to Houston when I just graduated from college, because you get all excited. It's nice spring weather. You're out doing stuff, thinking the warm weather is here, and then bam, another snowstorm, and everything stays wet and soggy and cold for another 2 weeks. Thought we were done with snow. Jay, no, not in Pittsburgh. It's just as likely on any given day to go from 70 back to a snowstorm. Okay. We're going to work on a specific signal tonight, but I want to kind of still get in the other analysis of what's going on in the market. So here's just kind of a not common sense, but just kind of an additional observation. We were in a downtrend, morning star type signal. But what was the last criteria? 1233 is the stochastics. I'll get there. 1233 is the stochastics. Oversold is below 20, overbought is above 80. I just happened to use that one night, sitting in my living room office back in Atlanta, and I was a swing trader. And that time the standard was 14.55, and I said, I need something different. So I tried 14.35, 14.26, 12.55, 12. So by the end of the evening, I got to the point where 12.33 seemed to indicate when the bottom occurred and when the top occurred. So nothing set in stone, just seems to work for the type of trading I do, which is swing trading. Darren, yes, that is the final observation. They could never get this market back up above the T-line. Morningstar signal. Couldn't confirm. Morningstar signal, but what was significant about this Morningstar signal? They did close above the T-line. So that little piece of information was a strong indication that if they opened positive the next day, there had been a change of investor sentiment. What was our caution flag, or what was our caution warning? Well, we knew that they would be up, down, up, down, up, down. They had opened here and closed back here. What would that tell us? We were still going sideways or nowhere. But the probability factor was that if they opened this positive, which we could see pretty evidently by what the pre-market futures were telling us, that this was a confirmed signal that told us they were doing a candlestick signal and a close above the T-line. Now, I put that out in YouTube tonight as making this as far as optimal option trading, because if this was starting to trade positive here, what do you still think kind of the overall sentiment was in the markets? It was still kind of leery. And what happens when you don't have a lot of bullish sentiment? Obviously, the intrinsic value of options go down because as prices go down. But on top of that, the extra premium, that is the enthusiasm or the time value, goes down because nobody's really enthusiastic about buying options. But when we see this opening positive and a reversal, that becomes an optimal time to start buying options. One, because the price should be going up intrinsically, but as it's going up and investor confidence starts building back up, the premium, that time premium, starts expanding. So you get two benefits by being able to identify when that reversal has occurred. Sunny, nothing tomorrow. As far as a quadruple or a triple witching, because the volumes are too big at this point. Can we use 1233 when day trading? Yes. Now, when I used to day trade the E-minis on the 1 minute, 3 minute, 10 minute combination, I'd use stochastics of 1233 and 522 just to get a little bit faster time frame. So I would know that the short-term trend is still working on the 1233, but it might be pulling back a little bit on the 522. Yes, candlestick signals work on all time frames. 1233 works just as well with day trading, yes. Okay, so what was I talking about? Oh, so whenever you see this, that allows you that if you become fully confident in what the investor sentiment is doing based upon candlestick signals, it allows you to start entering trades or option trades a lot faster than everybody else is starting to come in and trade. So we saw that in the Dow. We saw that pretty much in the S&P 500. Now that's a Morningstar type signal. Not really an indecisive day, but the fact that it closed above the T-line, if it opened positive the next day, what was it telling us? It was telling us staying above the T-line and probably breaking this little downtrend. So this is all evidence that we can see that there's been a change of investor sentiment. Same scenario over here on the NASDAQ. This is not a signal. This was just an up day. However, we don't judge this on its own merits, meaning we don't just say, well, the NASDAQ didn't do a positive day, so maybe it's not a reversal. But we have to be a little bit more suspect that that there might be a reversal, because you're seeing it in the NASDAQ, I'm sorry, in the S&P as well as the Dow. And then you add the fact that the transportation index was trading very strong, and you can see kind of the slow curve breakout kind of through this area above the 50. That's additional confirmation that the bulls are taking control. And then you add that HYG. It was a bullish harami, one of our 12 major signals, and then they gapped it up yesterday and came up through the T-line. That's another indication that the bullish sentiment was starting to come back in. The Russell, yeah, you were getting confirmation there also. Bullish harami, gap up through the T-line. So anytime you see something like this where you don't necessarily have to have a bullish reversal, we know what our first resistance level is likely to be, the T-line. But if they're gapping it up above the T-line and starting to trade positive, that's a pretty good indication that the T-line factor is not coming into play. Now, with that, I was trying to combine the fact that when you started seeing this, you started closing out. Oh, this is not a good one to show because it turned right around and went. That you started seeing bullish confirmation. You had a couple of days here where in the oversold area you were starting to see dojis and you were starting to see potential reversal signals in the market. What's that saying about your probability factor of being short? The probability is probably going against you. So what's the worst case scenario? You take your profits on your shorts. If it comes up and then rolls over, you can always re-short it. For the first time, I am seeing a clear support of the transportation index. BG is, yeah, it's just not so much. If we know the truism is that the transportation index is usually acts like a good indicator of that if they're buying, that means there's more travel, airlines are going up, or the trucking stocks are getting more activity, railroads are getting more activity, anything that's going to transport goods and services. If everybody thinks things are turning around, they're going to be buying those first, and that's why the transportation index is a kind of a good leading indicator. Do you use VIX for market direction? No, I don't need to. You can use it if you want to. Anything that you can add that kind of enhances the fact that bullish sentiment is starting to come back into the markets, use it. But here's what I always come back to. What is your number one criteria for making your decisions? The signal itself. Then you go to everything else and take a look to see if there's everything else is confirming. Maybe a good time to look for longer term plays. Not necessarily, RK. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't start looking for longer term plays. But does this tell us that the market is heading up? Right now it's telling us we want to see what happens at levels that everybody else is watching. Because if they come up here and do shooting stars and start fading back off, that pretty much we can make the evaluation. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. That's not what I wanted to do. If they came up here and did dojis, or even came up here and did dojis or shooting stars, bearish haramis, giving you sell signals, what would be our next analysis? That this downtrend is still in progress. This was just a bounce back up to a major resistance level. So that doesn't mean I'm going to start jumping in right now with both feet and saying, oh, this is a big reversal, they're heading up. We still have to get confirmation on things that everybody else is watching. Okay, so before we go into a lot of the charts, I want to go to the kicker signal. Now, the reason I'm going to a specific signal is because, one, if we know that the market is moving in a specific direction, there's the general theory that all boats are going to rise in a rising tide. What do we want to be looking for? We want to be looking for the boats that have a much higher probability of rising in a rising tide, number one. And number two, that the magnitude of the move is going to be a lot better than just a rising boat in the rising tide. We want to find those boats that are going to rise a heck of a lot faster than the rest of them. So I had a question today from somebody that says, what is the best process for starting off learning candlestick analysis? Well, fortunately, that question was posed right now at a timing where we are going to be doing our 2-day training, our basic training. And I call this kind of the bread and butter training. This takes us from A to Z and gives you a clear indication or a clear view of not only what the signals are, what the confirming indicators are, but the Japanese rice traders also explained what the psychology or the investor sentiment was that created those signals. Once you have that in your mind, now you're starting to look at price movements based upon the kind of the same criteria as somebody that might have been trading in the market for 50 years. You get a lot more insight. So with that, there's the link. I recommend, and I don't recommend this because we're teaching candlestick signals and patterns. I recommend this because I have seen all methods of investing in the last 45 years that I've been investing. I was a stockbroker with Kidder Peabody at the ripe old age of 21 years old, way back in the mid-70s. I can show you every technical trading system there is. I can, well, you don't have to have explain what fundamental analysis is. I've done it all. But if somebody asked me if I was going to teach somebody how to invest today, I would not point them to the research departments of the major brokerage firms, because they have no more idea about what goes up or down than the man on the moon. Their safety mode of operation is, if we keep recommending companies that have good, solid management, good, solid sales, good, solid prospects, you buy them and hold them for the long term, you're going to come out way ahead. Well, that's a bunch of poppycock. I even got out of the business. I don't know what, but what I would do is tell somebody, if you're going to teach, if you're going to learn candlesticks, or if you're going to have your kids learn how to invest, learn candlestick analysis, because it's common sense put into a graphics. A lot of people ask, do you consider fundamentals? And the answer is no, you don't have to consider fundamentals. All we're doing is analyzing what everybody else's decisions are based upon however they made their decision, which more than 90% of everybody buying and selling is based upon their research of what the fundamentals are, or what they think the prospect industry is going to be out a year from now or 2 years from now. That has very little to what moves prices. Prices move based upon the perception of fundamentals, which is visually analyzing what everybody's decisions are, or analyzing what investor sentiment is. So there's my 2-bit stump. Okay, so when we do our 2-day training, we're going to go through the things that tell us what has the most obvious results as far as what the Japanese rice traders have illustrated to us for hundreds of years. And these aren't in order, but they all are very visually explainable. Do you ever have in-person seminars? Francis, yes. We do we do what we call private training sessions. They're expensive, but they're very worthwhile. And a private training session usually involves 5 people. We used to do them up at Keuka Lake, which got too hectic. Now we do them here in Pittsburgh, and we're trying to set one up. Oh, shoot. Forgot. May 21st? May have been May 21st. Harry, yes, it's recorded. So even if you can't make it, you can sign up for it, and then you get the full 2-day recording. The only disadvantage, you will email Jim. Can you type in my my email, steve@candlestickforum.com. I think we're going to have the private training session here in Pittsburgh. I think it's May 21st, the weekend before Memorial Day. Clarence, everybody's been clamoring to have one done out on the West Coast. I can probably do that sometime. Shirley, the Chukumuko cloud is just a possible trading range that a price could go to, where a candlestick is the actual buying and selling. So the cloud might be up here as a range of where it might, where the trading could go to. Robert, yes. The basic training will be on March 26th and 27th. It's 2 full days. The only they're $4,900 for the weekend, but that is the training over the weekend. That's also anything on the website. We've got like $5,000 worth of training videos. That's all free, plus you get a year free membership to the website. I think the bonuses or whatever stuff you can get free is worth more than the $4,900 itself. Yes, the 2-day weekend is, if you've taken it before, you always can come back to that training or that same training that you've paid for free. And Magic, you're on the list. There's a bunch of people coming back to take it for free. You taught about scanning the other day. Do you ever run scans for a 3 to 8 minute crossover? No, we're not trading the crossovers, and it's not helpful. It's just acts. It just acts indicator. Anytime you see, or you can use the confirmation. We're getting way off track here, but anytime you see the 3T line cross through the T line, that's just an additional confirmation that your signal is being confirmed. Darren, you sign up for the training, and then afterwards everybody will be get access to the training. Now, here's our little clever marketing ploy. The link that I just put out there is for the non-member price. That's $497. But if you decide to become a member and you sign up for your membership for $97, then you get the member price of $297, or you save yourself $100. And then the worst case scenario is you get at least, you now get 30 days of the website, where we do the chat room open all day long, the options room open all day long. You get 2 or 3 stock picks every night, depending, and a little video of what we think the market's going to do based upon candlestick signals. And then we got the Monday night for members, the Thursday night like this one, free to open to everybody. But then we usually try to do one night a week where we do a special for the members. The other night we did a little bit of scanning and the breakouts. We do members night where we might do stop losses or entry and exit. So you get a heck of a lot of money, or a heck of a lot of information for the money. Was that the members link? Oh, it was the members link. All right. Becky, do we have the non-members link to throw in there? Robert, you can throw whatever you want to on a chart. We're getting way off track here, so you guys are going to be here past 9 o'clock. Whoops, we're at 8:30 and we haven't even gotten started yet. You can throw whatever you want to on your chart that would improve the probabilities of being able to analyze what the price might be doing. The most patterns and the signals. Then everything else that you add onto the chart would be a confirming indicator. How accurate is this system? Will there be a presentation slides to remind us of how the lines are set up in the trading? Yes, and that's very simple. We could, we can do that in 15 seconds. That's the 200-day simple moving average. That's the 50-day simple moving average. This is the 34 EMA, and the T line is the 8 exponential moving average. And the answer is, how accurate is it? Let's put it this way. Japanese rice, the candlesticks have been around for over 400 years. There's a very strong adage on Wall Street. If something doesn't work, it disappears very quickly. So some people say, well, can you put the 20-day moving average on here? Yes. If you put something on and it doesn't seem to help a whole lot, take it back off. As you can see, this chart is not very cluttered. The only thing I'm really concerned about is, what is the signal? Our chart was put up because this is called a trend kicker signal. Look how you started the uptrend, but then it opened here and closed here. The next day, they gapped it up and went the other direction. That's a very strong indication there's going to be more upside, because that shows a lot of investor sentiment being kicked in that direction. Anytime you see a kicker signal, the expectation should be you're going to have a lot more upside. Link for candle signal cheat sheet. The candlestick cheat sheet is on your mouse pads and your flashcards. So try those. I've got mouse pads that have the 12 major signals on them. But that kicker signal right there gave us a lot of indication of what this price move was going to be. Wave 1, failure at the 50. Wave 2, kicker signal, breaking up through the 50. Wave 3, the magnitude of this wave right here is usually going to be the same magnitude as this wave. So that kicker signal told us there was a lot more upside, which kind of confirmed the pattern we were looking at. SG, there's your kicker signal. Now, once a kicker signal starts, what's our next criteria? How long do we stay long? We use the T-line rule. We stay long as it doesn't close below the T-line. In this case, when this one got started, not only couldn't they close it back below the T-line, they couldn't even close it back through the 3T line, which would indicate more strength to the upside. Let's see. This is a bullish flutter kicker signal. Opens here, closes here. Then they gap it up and do a doji. What's our doji rule? They're going to trade it in the direction of how they open after a doji. So if they're trading positive, if you took out this little flutter, you basically have a kicker signal starting your up PH. How long do you hold on to this one? Maybe you close it here and bought it back, because now what's this uptrend telling us? Wave 1 started with a kicker signal. Now you have your J-hook. Look for wave 3 to the upside. So the reason I'm pointing out, or we're going through the kicker signal, is a lot of people ask, well, what's the strongest candlestick signals? Remember, we've already broken it down to, out of the 50 or 60 signals, there's we have the 12 major signals, and that's just my research over the last 35, 40 years, that the 12 major signals are the ones that are going to occur most often, and not only most often, provide the strongest price moves. So all you really have to learn is the 12 major signals and the confirming indicators. Once you have that, going back to, whose question was it? Are these accurate? They're very accurate. And I can attest to that because before candlesticks came along, I was the worst investor in the world. I was even a stockbroker for 8 years, which didn't mean anything. But when candlesticks came, indicators, the T-line acts like a natural support and resistance of human nature, kind of Fibonacci characteristics. And the candlestick signals are the graphic depiction of everybody buying and selling. And when you combine those two, you've got an extremely accurate trend indicator. So we can see on this one, there's your bullish flutter kicker signal. There's your J-hook pattern. Robert, my scans are, I'm pretty much older than candlesticks. That's right, Andrew. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I was sitting in a Japanese, hey, we need something to be able to invest better. And they said, well, we're going to go out and invent candlesticks. Robert, my scans are based upon stocks that are trading greater than 5 and trading more than 200,000 shares a day. That takes the trading universe from 8,500 down to about 3,300. And on any given day, when you refresh your scans, probably within, well, I can do it probably within 5 to 7 minutes, find 3, 5, 10 best trades. But even if you don't know what you're looking for yet, you're still learning. In less than 20 minutes every day, you're going to start finding the best trades. Can you brief the scanning template for TC2000 for daily scans? Lay, all I do is my basic scan is I'm looking for the stocks that had the biggest percent price move today. And when I go through that, right within the first 50 charts, I'm going to find 15 good candlestick signals. And then out of those 15, I do a cultivation process. And that's the type of thing that we go through on the weekend of how we, if we have a day like we have, or days like we've had over the last 2 or 3 days, and you've got 50 good charts, how do you narrow it down to the best? And this is part of that process is you want to find which stock charts have the best signals. When the market was heading down, look at the bearish kicker signal on Rocket. That told you there's going to be a strong down move. IGT. This was way back somewhere. Oh, I knew I was going to do this. Oh, there it is right there. Here's your bearish kicker signal. EVH, oh, we did that one, and Nucor. Ah, that may have been it right there, the little kicker signal to the downside. So, again, this is very simple signal. It's telling you that they've drastically, where is this one? I can't find it. Alcoa had one a while back. No, there's no kicker signal there. That's just a bullish candle. Oh, did I do the, no, that may have been the problem. Try Nucor. Well. Still can't find it. Maybe it was a trend kicker signal. All right, I'll go right on to the next one. This one had both. Oh, there's your bearish flutter kicker signal. Now here's one of the things that you'll be learning. What is the difference between a kicker signal and a bullish signal? A kicker signal is a kicker signal. It could be a bullish signal or a bearish signal. So you're talking apples and oranges. Bullish kicker signal or a bearish kicker signal. One easy observation. If you're in an uptrend in the overbought area and they're gapping the price down near the lower end of the previous day's trading, close it out. That's a flutter kicker signal. Notice how they took it down, did a doji, then the next day they opened lower. What's the doji rule? The price will usually move in the direction of how they open after a doji. Well, if you took out that little flutter, you basically have a kicker signal. The benefit of a flutter kicker signal is that, let's say you see a kicker signal developing somewhere. You say, oh, I want to jump into that. Let's see, where do I have the money? Do I need to sell something to get into it? You have to make arrangements. Whereas with a bearish flutter kicker signal or a bullish flutter kicker signal, if you see it setting up, you say, all right, if this opens lower the next day, I want to be shorting it. Now, what's my game plan for tomorrow? You can already prepare for it. Oh, Bill, that cow's already out of the barn. Oh, Scott, I have no idea. But let's put it this way. Anytime I see a kicker signal, I'm going after it immediately. Because not only are the probabilities pretty strong, I don't know whether it's 70, 80, 90%, but the magnitude of the return is going to be very strong also. So that analysis, that if you see something opening near the lower end of the previous day's trading, look what happened right here. Stochastic's not in an oversold area. They failed at the 200 with a shooting star doji, bearish engulfing, closing below the T-line. You're in a downtrend. Oops, you may have covered your short position here. But the next day when they gapped it down below the previous day's open and you're still in a downtrend, that tells you there's going to be more downside. So anytime I see the previous day's open, if I was short and covered it, I'm re-shorting it immediately. That's on YUMC. If we did Voodoo, Weibo, you can see the same thing happen right here. That's just a strong continuation of a downtrend. Steve, if you're having trouble recognizing the signals, just reading high profit candlestick patterns, and then just get a mouse pad with them, and also the flashcards. So yeah, I see other people are kind of pointing in that direction. Hold on, let me get through with the ones I know are kicker signals. Here's that bearish kicker signal, trend down. Wing, same scenario right there. And, whoops. Somewhere. Oh, right there. Notice how they opened it at the previous day's open and closed it down here, that started your strong downtrend. You could always buy another one. Paul. Where do you scan for the kicker? Just on a kicker scan. The formula for the kicker is way down on your page. Down in the very far right-hand corner is a file. You can go in there and find the formula for the kicker signal. And one more, and then we'll, let's see. No, didn't even go there. May have been that one, maybe not. But anyways, the obvious is our recommendations based upon the kicker signal going to produce very strong results. BBLG is not coming up. These are CQG. The CQG was the grandfather of the charting services, and a lot of the charting brokerage firms use CQG as their feed. That's not quite a kicker signal, because what you want in a kicker signal is a big down day and then a big up day. But it still has the same implications, though, that they've gapped it up and gone the other direction. So it doesn't necessarily need to be called a kicker signal. It can be called a doji, spinning top, bullish confirmation. What about the video training of the 12 major signals? Is it a lifetime access? No, it's not necessarily lifetime access. When you download those, they're on your computer. They're yours forever. So any of the training packages or videos, once you buy it, yeah, it's yours. Whoops. No, that's a bullish doji sandwich. Okay, did I miss a few up here that... Kicker, yes. Now that looks like it's traded overseas. That's why it's so choppy. But that is a bullish Flutter kicker signal. Okay. Let's go back to the basics. So here's where I kind of use the bullish high probability trade setups. There's our little bobble breakout. The reason I'm pointing this out is I've had a lot of people asking about option trading with candlesticks. Does it work? Yes. You're not buying options because of option charts. You're buying the options on a stock chart movement. So anytime I see this, that's why we recommended this one today. There's your bobble breakout, kind of out of a wedge formation up through the 50. Where do you think the next likely target's going to be? Up here. That's just a high probability trade setup move. Darn, I thought I wrote something else down. I'll find it. Now, a bobble breakout's a little bit different than a J-hook pattern. Now you can see what's happening here on run. That's a J-hook pattern, but that's not breaking out of anything. That's using the 50 as support, which is that much more evidence. Are you saying bad words or something, Robert? Is that why they're throwing you out? Yeah, you can see where they're, in this one they supported at the 50 and now starting to trade higher. What we're going to be showing, again, I don't want to be this as a promo, but Dave, and I have to keep going over to this chart system. Oh, Pasha. Dave was, again, a high probability trade setup because of the inverted hammer right here. And this is something you'll learn in our session, that even though this doesn't occur very often, it's still categorized as one of the 12 major signals, because this is nothing official other than my own study over the last 40 years, is that when you see an inverted hammer, especially in the oversold area, and it opens positive, the probabilities are 95% or an uptrend. There you go, Clarence. Good. All right. So again, what we have built into candlestick analysis is high probability trade setups because of one factor. The Japanese rice traders have illustrated to us that human nature works the same way time after time. That's the pattern setups. What about the inverted hammer signals up in price? It all depends. Yeah, an inverted hammer at the top is not an inverted hammer. That's a shooting star. But there is humbug. It was I can't remember which one it was. It was doing a J-hook with an inverted hammer right at the T-line and coming back up through. Which one was that? I should have written it down. Okay, so if we know a Frypan bottom works as an indicator of a slingshot effect to the upside or a big price move, and we know the classic pattern is a Frypan bottom followed by a J-hook pattern, we get additional visual confirmation that this came up through the 50. What's the normal reaction to human nature? They'll come back and test the 50 to see if it's now going to act as support, and if they think it's going to act as support, they're confident, builds up, and they take it up into the next wave. This becomes an extremely high probability trade setup. We've been pushing this one, not pushing it, but recommending this one, because look what's happened now. Now this one first started an alert. There's your best friend alert. It failed. Nothing there, nothing there. Whoops, now you have a bullish engulfing back up above the T-line. Stayed up above the T-line, another bullish engulfing. At this point, what type of trajectory can we start seeing? It's bottoming. The bulls are starting to take control. And now we've got what you can consider a Frypan bottom with gapping up. And today it closed above the 50. Now why is that important? Because we can see the Frypan bottom. Everybody else is watching to see, well, I'm going to buy this if it comes back up through the 50 as resistance. And what do we expect coming out of a Frypan bottom? A strong price move. What's everybody else doing? They're buying because it's above the 50. So all I'm looking for is what are the patterns that are going to give me high probability price movements? EOS came up, and then look at your belt hold bullish engulfing signals. What do those indicate? That they're wiping out sellers and then coming back up. So there's less sellers in the way. Wiping out sellers, still coming up. And what was one major factor in this up? They couldn't close it below the T-line until that day. So if I closed it out that day, I would have been buying back on that day, because what was it telling me? I've got a J-hook pattern staying up above the T-line. That's a, yes, that I would put in the category of a bullish flutter kicker signal. So if it opened positive, what's that telling me? It's confirming my bullish flutter kicker and telling me I've got a J-hook pattern in progress. Probably you're going to go right back up into this trajectory and go higher. Exponential moving averages. What's the question, Antonio? Why do we use the simple moving averages versus exponential? Because we're not using these moving averages to make our decisions. We're using these moving averages because that's what every major money manager in the world uses to make their decisions. All we're looking at is seeing what their decision were, what their decision levels. We've got the graphics that tell us exactly what they're doing at support and resistance levels. There was a lot of stocks that had positive trading over the last couple of days. As you can see, they gapped this up, pulled it back. Right there, that's not a bullish reversal signal. That's just an up day. Still kind of implying it's going up. But where does the probabilities get greatly enhanced? On the charts that did have bullish signals, like a Morningstar signal. Jim, hold on to your individual, everybody hold on to your individual chart requests until I tell Jim to do the double line. I was going to try to make a, so this is telling me I would rather go out and find the signals, reversal signals, versus just stocks that are heading back up, because that gives me that much better probabilities that there has been a reversal. How do you use stochastic to decide when to enter a trade? The Japanese race traders have a very simple logic. If you see a candlestick buy signal in the oversold area, the probabilities are you're probably heading up. If you see a candlestick sell signal in the oversold area, I'm sorry, the overbought area, probabilities are you're probably heading down. If you see a candlestick buy signal in the overbought area, it doesn't mean anything. That's just a formation. If you see a candlestick sell signal in the oversold area, it doesn't mean anything. You're looking for candlestick buy signals in the oversold, looking for candlestick sell signals in the overbought area. Danielle, they all work intraday. I mean, intraday they always work, there's enough of them that they all work. Now, I will trade, you can see a Frypan bottom pattern building up, and I don't know whether I've got one that I can show. But here's kind of the logic of using the patterns. And you can see this is a big Frypan bottom. That becomes a lot more relevant if they open positive. Here's a big Frypan bottom on Quest Diagnostics. Look where it's sitting, right here. Now everybody and their brother can see that it's sitting at a resistance level. If it opens positive, coming out of a Frypan bottom, what do we expect? A strong price. Do you expect a strong price move at this level? Because we're setting up for a Frypan bottom, and now we're watching that if it opens positive, everybody's saying, oh, it's breaking through the 200, they're all jumping in. Would you get in right after the Morningstar or wait till it gets above the T-line? If it's trading fairly close to the T-line, I would rather wait to see it close above the T-line. If it's a good distance away from the T-line, I'll buy it knowing that it's probably going to move up at least to the T-line. What are the two moving average day averages you are using in the stochastics panel? Oh, That's the 1233 slow, or what do they call it? Percent D and percent K. Audio is gapping. Okay, sorry. This fails and then pulls back and does the handle or the J-hook pattern. What time charts do you use your futures account? If I'm trading during the day, I use the 10-minute chart. So I shorted hogs today because it did kind of that bearish belt hold sell signal. It's trading lower. I'm thinking, all right, do I buy this? Well, it comes down through there. Yeah, I stay short. As you can see, they never took it back up above the 10-minute T line. You can do the same thing with whatever you're trading. So if you think soybeans are trading lower, whoops, that's not a good chart. The first thing I analyze whenever I'm day trading is which direction is the price moving. Right now I can't really tell, so I wouldn't trade soybeans. Where did I short it at on lean hogs? I don't remember. I just know that I made a very good profit today in lean hogs. I want to say what is that? Oh, on the 10-minute chart. I want to say I probably shorted it somewhere right in here. That might not have been where it was. May have been right in here somewhere. Do you ever look for patterns or signals? Oh, it scrolled past me. On the lower time frames first and then trade longer? No. I want to trade in the direction of what the daily chart is moving. 10-minute chart that is confirming that direction. Okay, let's jump right along here. DOGZ, you can see there's your J-hook pattern. It came up through the resistance level, came right back to the 50, and there's your morning star signal. What's this imply? Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 to the upside, wave 3 being the same magnitude as this one right here. So I look for patterns that I know have a high probability expected result. Look at kind of your cradle pattern down here. Then it traded up a little bit today, but it didn't really do anything. But if this opens positive tomorrow, kind of a doji sandwich after a cradle pattern, and what do we know about a cradle pattern? It's usually going to produce a very strong uptrend. So it dramatically improves the probabilities of being in the right place at the right time. So the first thing that I try to do when I know there's a bunch of price moves working, I'm looking for the strongest signals, like a best friend signal. That's going to produce a big move to the upside. I'm looking for a best friend signal that's also confirming a pattern. Look at our bobble breakout through the 50 with the best friend signal on max. What do we expect here? Wave 1, wave 3 up in this range someplace. And new, there's your best friend. Where do you expect the first target to be? Up here to the 50. Chad, yes. I wouldn't be afraid to be buying this. Now remember, this is a story stock. I'm not sure they yet, but they have come out recently saying that their research on developing a solid state lithium battery is getting very close. They've also had an article, from what I've read on the their news page is they've had an article in Carb Buzz just recently. And they also had an article in Yahoo Finance. So the story is getting out that they're developing a solid state battery. So another one is QuantumScape. Look where it's trading. Flat. If it comes up through the 50, notice that they did kind of a little piercing signal gap up. If they get up through the 50, you might have some good running room here. Now these are story stocks. Yes, they are for the for electric vehicles. Is HGEN, is that an electric vehicle stock? But you can see the Frypan bottom classic pattern. That usually indicates, or it gives you a high probability of things moving much higher because of the Frypan bottom. BBIO, I have no idea what they do. Pharmaceuticals, there's your Frypan bottom, just got through the 50. Now the reason these type of setups are much more attractive is because we know that the expected result is positive, number one, and the expected result is strong to the upside. So it not only puts you in high probability trade setups, PayPal another, Frypan bottom, where's the first likely target? Up here. So even if I wasn't trading the stock, I'd figure out maybe a option strategy. Might be buying the 115s and selling the 120s. As a matter of fact, I think I did that today on MULN. If this breaks out, where could it go? It could go all the way up here to the 200-day moving average. So I bought the 5s and sold, no, I bought the 4s and sold the 5s for 10 cents. Because if this does work the way we expect it, and it goes above 5, that 10 cents goes to $1, which is a good rate of return. And I don't have a lot of money out there to make that big rate of return. BTU, that is not really, that's just a doji type day, positive trading J-hook. How to determine the starting point of a Frypan bottom. You don't have to, well, just from where it started. Where were we looking at one? HGEN. Where can we kind of calculate where this kind of started? Even if you use this right here, it's telling you it's starting to come up. A lot of times you can see a little bit more plainly where the indecisive trading started to the downside, maybe right in here, and that could be your next, at least your next target would still be a good 25–30% upside. To know where the breakout is, just by finding a spot that says, well, that looks like it could be a breakout. This level could be a breakout only because it's right here at the 50. What you really want to be concerned about is, what is the trajectory? Bought the vertical spread, you were assuming it would hit your target. Yeah, you pick out a time frame. Now, on a lot of these stocks, your time frame is calculated by whether they trade weekly options or monthly options. This was a monthly option. I think expires the 3rd weekend of April. So could it go up to this level over the next month? It could, because of what we expect coming out of a Frypan bottom. Now, most of the time I try to keep my spreads within about a 2-week time frame. because there's a slight disadvantage that even if you put on a spread and then all of a sudden it skyrockets, your spread might be upside down just because one side of that spread is working a lot faster than the other side. So if I buy a spread for $2 and it skyrockets, it might sit at $1.80 for the next 2 weeks, because even though it's traded way up, the difference between the two prices aren't expanding just yet. Do you have stop loss for all your trades? Yes. If I was buying MULN tomorrow on positive trading, I probably wouldn't want to see it close back below the 50. That's just telling me if they open up here and close back here, they aren't breaking out, maybe I close it out. So that's another aspect that we go into, Andy, when we do our two-day training, is where you buy, where you sell, and where are the logical places to put a stop loss. Not because of any percentage, it's where is that chart telling us that the bears are now in control, we want to be back out of that trade. If owning a profitable option weekly and say 3 days remaining, your decision to sell, time diminishment value versus today's profit, which is more important? What you think the chart is going to do between now and the next 3 days. If it looks a little bit iffy and you've got a profit and the chart doesn't look great, take your profit, because there's another place to put that money where you can analyze the probabilities much greater in your favor. Was the seminar you did last week on scanning recorded and available to watch? Yeah, it was just a very quick session on scanning. And it was on, when was it? Was it Monday night session? I think it was Monday night session. What was the spread I bought on this one? I bought the 4s and sold the 5s for 10 cents. With the idea that over the next month, if it goes above 5, that 10 cents turns into $1. No. Neither. My stop loss is based upon if I was buying this on positive trading the next day, where would I not want to see it trade? Back below the T-line. So if it came back down through there, I'm stopped out. Not because it was a 3%, 5%, 7% percentage. It was just telling me the bulls were not in control. No, the spread I did today was on MU. The special recommendation that we put out on YouTube yesterday was on this one because of the classic pattern. On spreads, how do you figure the distance of the spread? The distance of a spread is if you're buying the 50 and selling the 55, it's a $5 spread. We are going to be doing an option training session on all the strategies that are likely to occur, or not likely to occur, the best strategies that you want to apply to the different option patterns. Not really, WB. I doubt if the earnings are going to be on any of these stocks that are research companies. The earnings aren't all that critical. INDU looks like a J-hook pattern setting up. Now, why is that relevant? Because if this gets moving, it's not going to be up 3, 5, 10, 12, 15, 20%. It could be moving back up 100, 150%. How do we get the recordings from YouTube? I don't think you have to. I think you just click on YouTube and listen to the recording. It's always there. Gail, it doesn't matter where it's trading tonight. It's where it trades when everybody's in there trading tomorrow. So I always give the example that prices can move around, but if they just traded 7.4 million shares on Apple and it's trading down after hours, it might be trading down after hours on 15,000 shares. It's not where everybody is trading. It's just what traders are doing after hours. Okay. Did we do Clove? Clove is another J-hook type pattern that's using the 50 as your support. You can see the J-hook. So would I be a buyer? Yes, if this comes up through this level tomorrow, I can expect wave 3 to be in progress. This is all based on simple logic or simple common sense analysis that if a J-hook pattern is common and we know the expected results from it, we can pretty much calculate where we want to be buying. Where do we want to be buying on something like this? There's your Frypan bottom breakout at the 50. Do you always get moves like this? Definitely not. But the probabilities of being in moves like this based upon our pattern setups are extremely enhanced. And that's what we're looking for. Is show me something that tells me I've got a high probability, and if I know that that is a pattern that gives me that opportunity, that's why I want to learn the patterns as well as I can. VRTX, there's your Frypan bottom with observe the obvious. Where did it support? Right off the 50. Where are we trading right now? Right at a breakout level. You could still be buying this one on positive trading. And CRTX, you can see it. Where do you think this is likely to go to? They're probably heading up to test the 50. And then once they get to the 50, where are you? Right about at the beginning of this Frypan bottom. So what's the difference between a candlestick signal and a candlestick pattern as far as stochastics? We're looking to buy a signal when it's in the oversold area. We're looking to buy a pattern when it's just about ready to break out, which probably means it's already up in the overbought area. Okay, thank you, VG. Okay, so these are the type of patterns that we want to go after. The ones that actually have visible reversal signals. There's your morning star signal. That is a heck of a lot better than just buying a, see if I, you can see this is not a reversal signal. Even though it's got prospects of an uptrend, this is Netflix. When you don't have a reversal signal, you're probably not going to have the same probabilities or the same magnitude of return than if you found one that had reversal signals. The one factor about a kicker signal is you're not really concerned about the stochastics. A kicker signal is relevant no matter where it occurs in the trend. So, yeah, you would call that a kicker type reversal, but I'd probably put this more in the classification of a morning star signal, but I wouldn't be buying gold until they get it up through the T line. JYNT. That's more relevant than just an uptrending stock because it did a morning star signal with a best friend gap up. Where do you think your next likely target's going to be? probably right in here at the 50-day moving average area. Hold on for a second, Rob. I'll get to your question. BTU, a J-hook type pattern. HUSA, a J-hook type pattern with the prospects that if they come back up into this range, oops, what is this one? The SCA. I don't know what I wrote down. Pshaw. When you have a large green candles, when you have large green candles in a row and no shooting star type signal, what percentage above the T line is considered overextended so I don't chase? Rob, do you have one that you can show? It's probably not the distance between the T line or to the T line. It's probably where are your stochastics? So you want to use that combination. Now what you don't want to see is something that's moved way too far away from the T line, because what is human nature? If you have a big price move, somebody's going to start taking profits. And that's where the 10-minute T line. Yeah, so something like this, I'd be more apprehensive. I mean, that's what we expect coming out of a Frypan bottom, but look how far away you are from the T line now. So that tells me, I should have a little bit of a red flag here. Let's watch for profit taking. Zim, yeah, that's getting there. Also, you can see that you're kind of near the top of a range or the trend channel. So there's your dark cloud. If I was long this, you'd probably have a safety stop just below today's low, because if they open it and trade it positive, I'm good. If they open it after a kind of a dark cloud signal, I can't tell if that's a dark cloud. It looks like it opened just slightly above the high. I'd put a safety stop at today's low. If it came down through there, where do you think they're taking it to? They're coming back to test the T line. All right, so the important thing that I say, not the important thing, but the main factor that I found about candlestick, it's just common sense built into a graphic depiction. And the common sense is when things get too high, too far away from the T line becomes our indicator that we're too far away, the exuberance is there. That puts up a red flag to say, let's get ready to take profit. Same thing on the downside. If they take something way down fast, way below the T line, it's likely to come back up and test it. So if you see a candlestick buy signal way down here, you can start buying with the anticipation. You watch to see what happens at that level. Okay, so with that, are there any general questions on candlestick analysis? I had another one. Darn. Scott, just go down there and look. There should be a whole list of formulas down there in the file cap or in the file folder. You say your scan look for stocks above $5. How do you not miss these big lower prices? I usually keep my search of stocks above $5 because most brokerage firms won't margin a stock less than $5. And I know that every time I put on a trade, the probabilities are in my favor that I'm going to make money, so I want to get as much leverage as possible. I want to be able to margin it if I can. Now, we also have a chat room where people are looking at different things. And see, it's just moved up pretty big, and I look at it, and it's just gone from $1.50 to $2. But it's traded 4 million shares so far. That's how I find the ones that are below the $5 level. Now, that's only my search, $5 and greater. There's other people that like to trade the 50-cent stocks that go to 70 cents, or the dollar that goes to $3. We're not trying to show people how to trade on any particular trading strategy. We're trying to show people how to use candlesticks to research and find the trades of entities that they want to trade in. Candlestick analysis works just as well as on stocks, bonds, currencies, commodities, tulip bulbs, anything that has fear and greed in it. How do you scan biggest daily winners? Very easy. I use either Metastock or TC2000, but I can set up the chart on all the stocks that I'm trading, my trading universe, which might be 3,300, and then I just have it set up to which ones have the biggest percent up move and which ones have the biggest percent down move. So it's scaled on that basis. So if I'm looking, seeing that we're in an up market, I'm going to flip it to see which ones have the biggest percent price moves today. And then I can go right down that list and see which ones of those have a good signal. Why do you scan biggest daily winners? Oh, why? Because I want to see the ones that have new investor sentiment coming into them. Usually the biggest price moves will produce a candlestick signal. Until the candle closes at the end of the day. For example, it might reverse and lose its kicker characteristics. Please comment on how to handle that situation. First of all, if you see a kicker signal forming, meaning it's gapped up above the previous day's open and trading positive, the implication is something dramatic has changed to create that strong candlestick or that kicker situation. And if it trades up as a big bullish candle, fine and dandy. That's what we anticipate. If it trades up and then comes back down, let's say through the open, close it out. But for every one that you close out, you're probably going to hold 10, 12, 15 that are good trades. Okay. A lot of this, again, is just common sense, and it's not anything that I have gained. Well, I've gained from experience, but I like to pass that experience on to what makes a good signal, how do you find the good signals, and what confirms those good signals. And one of the biggest fallacies, not fallacies, but the biggest bugaboo of most investors is they can find a good signal, but they forget the word probabilities. The probabilities are it's going to be a good trade. They also need to know when it's not a good trade and close out that losing position quickly. And I learned that a long time ago, that the faster I close out a bad trade, the more time I have to take that money and go find a good trade. Okay, I can do that, Henry. Let's see, P, D, B, C. That one with a left-right, nope, that's a kicker type signal. That one you could be buying with the expectation they're coming back up to test the the 200, and this one you could be buying now that it's breaking out, or yeah, you could be buying or not in the overbought area yet. Okay. All right. Let's see. Do we wait for open higher the next day for biggest percent increase stocks, or make a separate list for those to keep on watch? Yeah, just a quick scanning. If I'm looking for stocks tonight, I'm looking for ones that might have the biggest percent moves. The one before that was PDBC. Which ones have had the biggest percent moves, and in those biggest percent moves have they created a candle or a candlestick signal? Now, if I'm looking for something during the day, which I'm usually not, you can always the TC2000 charts will automatically update which ones are having the biggest percent moves. So at any given time, I can go look at that list and say, oh, which ones have a big percent move? Let's take a look and see if that's doing a signal. Now, most of the time, I'm not buying after usually the first 45 minutes of the day. I want to see what's going to happen then, or selling going into the last 15 minutes of the day. But if I'm sitting there and the market's been lethargic and there wasn't anything really to go after, yeah, you always have that process where it's showing you the biggest percent price move, because out of 3,300 stocks, there's always going to be a few that are moving nicely based upon their own merits. When closed below the T line, do you sell at open, or do you wait to see how it opens when closed below the T line? Do you sell, or do you wait to see how it opens? Wait to see how it opens. Yeah, that's part of the exit strategies that we go into, is when do you sell a position? So if I was long here and I saw it gap down and I didn't close this out because of a doji gap down and it closed here, I want to see how it opens. If it happened to open positive and trade positive and then started selling off, I put my stop with different strategies of what should happen after a close just below the T-line. Now, if it's been trading above the T-line for the last 20 trading days, and now we have a selling day and it closes below the T-line, but it's not a sell signal, I'll probably say, all right, let's give it one more day. This might just be a selling day in an uptrend. But if I see that it's a candlestick sell signal and a close below the T-line, I'm more apt to close it out, especially if we're up in the overbought area. How do you set up scan for biggest percent move using TradingView? I don't know how to use TradingView. If you were trading Alcoa on the 10-minute chart today, would you have put your stop? I got stopped out at 10:40 a.m. and 11:20 and got back in later. Oh, that's getting very specific, but let's... Alcoa, you got stopped out at 10:40. You shouldn't have, because it never traded back below the 10-minute T-line. So that's why you want to use the T-line. If something's moving up big, go to your 10-minute chart. Yes, Mark, they could have been short recommendations, but remember, short recommendations are based upon what is happening at that time. Recommended going short on this one, but it opened positive, so that one would not have executed. And we were in the oversold area. What did we need to see to confirm going short? We needed to see it open lower until we had wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. Just because something's recommended doesn't necessarily mean it's going to execute. We were recommending shorting HII today. Had it opened lower, but it gapped up here. Didn't execute. Recommended going short on NTR. Had it opened lower, it opened positive. This one didn't execute. Okay. Harry, where can you learn about waves? That's Darren said you go to the beach. It could be a bullish flutter kicker setup. However, I wouldn't be until it actually confirms because your stochastics aren't quite in the oversold area. Okay. With that, Jim, go ahead and do the double line. And in 3.2 seconds, do the next double line. And I'm going to put this in here again for, let's see, I guess this is for the members. No, I'm not. It goofed up, so I can't get it there. Becky, do you have the link? Somebody's private messaging. For the sign up for the 2-day session. And I don't push people into doing a 2-day session. I mean, I don't push people into doing anything. I suggest it because it is such, I wish I had this information when I was learning candlestick analysis. I'd be light years ahead, or gotten light years ahead. But everything you see in a candlestick chart is just common sense. And once you have it explained to you, now everything else becomes secondary. You know exactly what to do. You know exactly if you're holding a position and it gaps down, you know to get out right away. If you're looking at a position and you see a best friend, you get in immediately because you know what the expected results are. It just gives you a much more decisive, I want to say, much more clarity as far as what's going on in investor sentiment and a price move. MDLZ, you can stay long on this one. Use the T-line as your stop. And Morn, stay long on this one. Just watch to see what happens once it gets to the moving averages. Williams-Sonoma. That's kind of a message, bearish belt hold. But it's now more of a message because it came back up. You want to be a buyer of this one on positive trading. You can see where they opened, and it, whatever the news was, when it opened, they had profit taking. Now you want to see the profit takings over to tell you that that new investor sentiment is now taking control. Pick. You can buy this one on positive trading. And, whoops. PD, that one, also look for a breakout of this level. You can buy this one on strength. And then use the 50 as your stop. Kicker signal, that one you can buy. Now remember, you're down here in the low price, make sure your volume stays very hefty. Oh, this move is news of a merger, okay. Iridium, trying to do a J-hook type breakout off your best friend signal. You can buy this one on positive trading. You definitely want to see it get through this level. But if I was buying on positive trading, I wouldn't want to see it close back below the 200. That would tell me it didn't break out. Cork, bullish doji sandwich, right smack dab off the 50, J-hook pattern in progress. Use the T-line as your stop. Another doji sandwich, J-hook pattern. You could be buying this one on positive trading tomorrow. Sedge, potential bearish, yes, potential bearish, but it's still kind of a nothing chart. If it did, I'd rather see it close down here to tell you that things are starting to sell off. Now, if you want to be aggressive and short it on weakness, but remember, you're now going against the total market trend. Amazon, you can stay long on this now that it's broken out through the 50. Anticipate they could be heading for the 200. Goog, that's really kind of a blasé chart. It's got to get through the 50 and the 200 to do anything real exotic. And Tesla, you could, same scenario. Figure they're probably heading for the 50 and need to get through that level. You could, if you buy it here, don't let this one close back below the 200, which would also coincide with the T-line. Billy, nothing real exciting on this one, especially with them closing back below the open of yesterday. If I owned it, I'd probably be going someplace else. Baba, after the best friend signal, it has to open positive and trade positive to stay long. We did pick. We're anticipating the S&P is heading for the 50. Whoops, I scrolled way too fast. Grill. I don't have volume on here. Just make sure your volume's hefty. I would suspect they're trying to come back up to the 50. Oversold, doji gap up, buy on positive trading. Yeah, you could buy it. Just be aware that the downtrend is the 50 moving average. Zoom, another one you could be buying, but it also has to break this downtrend. So even though you've got buying going on in some of these, got to watch to see what the resistance levels are. This Goog did get to the 50, so you could buy this on positive trading, expecting the next target to be the 200. And ANET, nothing great. Not a real reversal signal. This would be the type that if you like it, you can buy it. It's just not your best chart as far as candlestick analysis. And CrowdStrike, you can buy on positive trading. If it breaks out through this level, it's definitely heading toward the 200. CVS, Frypan bottom, stay long. Bristol Myers, just stay long. Pfizer, just stay long. B-Fly. This one, if you're long, it did have a little kicker type signal. Obviously watch to see what they do once they get to the 50. NVIDIA got through the 50. Still not a strong reversal, but it did support at this level. So if you're buying this one, you don't want to see it come back below the 50. Is in progress of forming a Frypan bottom? Not really. No. A Frypan bottom you can easily recognize as a slow rounding bottom That's just basing. No. Did I do that wrong? CTLK, nope. Vary. You could buy this little scoop type pattern. Notice your bullish Harami gap up. Scoop, what do we expect out of a scoop? A slingshot effect to the upside. BPT, you could buy this. You just be aware that it needs to get through this level. You've still got a very lethargic chart until it breaks out through that level. BNTX, you could buy this one on positive trading, giving you a doji sandwich breakout. Marna, same scenario. Get ready for your doji sandwich breakout. All right, good, Larry. GM, and nothing greatly exciting yet. It needs to break this downtrending channel. Ford also needs to get through the 50. Costco, just stay long. Devon Oil, you could buy this one expecting kind of a J-hook pattern. BLDE, that one's got the Morningstar best friend, kind of broke through this level, stay long with the anticipation your next target is the 200-day moving average. Yes. Okay. The YM futures right now are showing the Dow is down 173. What's that? 17. I'm better. No, I guess it's down 100. So it's down a little bit. And the Dow didn't quite get to the 50-day moving average yet. Lit M, just stay long on the J-hook pattern. Upstart, there was another one that somebody was saying, well, this was a short just a couple of days ago. Yes, had it confirmed. You had a bullish Harami in the oversold area that changed the fact that it went from a bearish J-hook pattern now to a bullish pattern. So just because something is heading in a certain direction, it still needs to be confirming that it's heading in that direction. SRNE, you could buy this one. Bullish Harami, bullish confirmation breakout. So you could be going long on this one. MARPS, that's got a J-hook pattern set up that you could be buying. If I was buying this one on positive trading tomorrow, I'd definitely use the T-line as my stop. Crisp, just stay long, Frypan bottom. DOUG, not found. BNO, this has to get up through the T-line. And NTR, when we recommended going short on this one, it needed to open lower. That's why you always see in our recommendations that something needs to trade below a certain level. Otherwise, this one's now nothing that I would buy just yet, but I definitely wouldn't be short. Merck was the other one I was trying to remember. Merck, You just stay long. You got a T-line crunch going on. And Taiwan, that one you can get ready to buy. There's your bullish engulfing after a double bottom. Anticipate probably coming back up to fill the gap, which gets you very close to the moving averages. Twitter, another Frypan bottom that you could be buying. Now again, you could be buying based on that if we see the markets open tomorrow, you want to go after it. BBLG just is not working on these charts. What we don't want to do is wake up tomorrow and see the pre-market futures showing the Dow is going to open down 230 points. That means you probably don't want to chase after anything that was trading positive or showing positive expectations. Wait to see what the market does. GFS, just stay long. I would probably put a safety stop at today's open. It shouldn't come back down through that level. Affirm, you could be buying on that little kind of Morningstar type setup. It's broken this little level. Raymond, what's that? The EU 6M, is that the euro? I'll have to figure out what the symbol is. Ford, nothing yet. Wait for signs of buying. Very, just finished wave 3. Huh? I don't know. We're now JB, no wave 3 there. What buy signal or what buy candle is your favorite, Robert? That's always asked. And the reason we've narrowed it down to the 12 major signals is basically 6 longs and 6 shorts is because they all work. Now, when we go through our training, we're going to go through the top rank signals and patterns, which are a combination of the signals in the patterns. My top one would be the best friend signal. A doji followed by a gap up or a gap down. Then it might be followed by the kicker signal and then maybe a bobble breakout and a Frypan bottom breakout. Now I tell people you don't have to learn all 15 or 18 of the top ranked signals and patterns, but that doesn't mean that number 1, which I've got as best friend, is good and number 18 is bad. It means they're all good. We just kind of put them in a quantitative category. So you might want to find 3 or 4 that you become an expert at. Even if you narrow it down to 3 or 4, you're always going to have more trades than you're going to be able to handle. But you're going to be able to understand where to buy, where to stay in, when to get out, and when not to get in. And once you do that, now you've got control of your own mental trading sentiment, that you're not listening to somebody else and you're not letting your emotions get whipsawed. And the reason that it's going to be trained that way is because being the worst investor in the world, I knew that my emotions were the things that killed me. So everything we've put into candlestick analysis is based upon what do we do that tells us what's happening based upon high probabilities, and what do we do to keep our emotions out of our decisions. When you say use a T-line for a stop loss, are you using daily chart at end of day or smaller time frame? Usually the daily, but and again, it depends on where you are in correlation with the T-line. If you've been hugging the T-line for the last 2 weeks and then all of a sudden you see a big sell signal or close below the T-line, it's time to close out the trade. Let's see, I think we did Upstart. JP Morgan, you can be buying this one. Morgan Stanley, you can be buying this one. An LPI, kind of a kicker type signal off the 200. If you like this one, you could be buying it. I joined late. Where? Why? Why? Yes, this is recorded. Yeah, I went to Hawaii one time, and the first day I was there, I got a lesson on what the waves do to you when they crunch you into the beach head first. AWK, you can think about buying this on positive trading tomorrow. And UNG, you stay long as this stays above the T line. I didn't understand your question about the SPY. Labu tells you it's kind of bottoming out. Still want to see some strength, though. And hour, that's a nice Frypan bottom. Make sure you're, I thought I wrote that one down. Maybe I did, but not on this page. H-O-U-R. And square, you can buy this one on strength. J-hook type pattern, not J-hook. Frypan bottom breakout through the 50. EUAM22. That's your euro. Doug? I would stay long if you're long. I would go long if they bring it back up through the after hours high. We had 3 big up days. That makes most chart patterns look good now. How do you know if more downside coming? Let the charts tell you what the market is doing. So where would we think there'd be some profit taking? Right here at the 50. If we saw a doji, a bearish harami, a shooting star, and it failed to get up through the 50, what can we assume? That this downtrend is still in progress. This was just a bounce back up to that level. Now, so that would tell you if you start seeing a sell signal, and then the next day, it'd be Monday, they start trading it lower. Yeah, it tells you this uptrend is still being, we can see much more clearly that the 50 is acting as a resistance level. Amazon bought MGM movie studio. Will be interesting to see how it affects its position. Okay. Is the daily default 24/7? Oh, I don't know what that means. Is the daily? Now it's usually, if you're talking about stocks, it's the open and the close. With the increase in oil prices against the recent drop, would you anticipate a multitude of J-hook patterns in the oil patch? And the answer to that, Chris, is I have no earthly idea. Every time somebody says, what do you think the market's going to do from here? I have no earthly idea. I let the charts tell me what they're doing, because I don't have enough sense or brains or intelligence to analyze what that might be doing. I would let everybody else that's making their decisions indicate what they're going to be doing. I'm just following what their decisions are. CTLT, stay long on this one. Very 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was a big bull engulfing. Tuesday low found support at the big candle's low. Is that a frequent support to look for the bottom of the big? On very yeah, not that it did go there. the fact that it is there and did do this told us, yeah, that's where they were buying again. It's not that we anticipated it was going to go back to that level. It's we could see that when it did go back to that level, that's where they were supporting and buying again. Boyle needs to get up through the 200. And Melly, you buy this if it breaks out through this level. How do I find futures markets? Meaning the pre-market futures. Usually when you open up your, or turn on the TV, or even in some of your trading platforms, you can use the YM for the futures for the Dow. You've got the E-minis for the S&P 500. But usually when I get up in the morning, I turn on the TV. I might not put on any sound, but I will put on the TV, and down in the right-hand corner, it will show you what the pre-market futures are doing. If the pre-market futures are showing the market's going to open up down 200 points, I know, oops, I don't want to be buying aggressively just yet. Are your chart settings for daily based upon the 24-hour session or regular? Yeah, usually the regular trading session. I mean, these are all open and close signals. And I don't pay too much attention to the after hours because, as I say, a stock could be trading 7 million shares during the day. You might trade 24,000 after hours. Don't need Melly. That's because it always reminds me of my mother telling me that I look so melancholy. I say, why? She goes, because your face, your head looks like a melon and your face looks like a collie. By staying long, do you mean one can buy? Nah, usually when I say staying long, I wouldn't necessarily be buying. I would just, if I was long, stay long. On Very, I probably wouldn't want to see, if it opened positive tomorrow, I wouldn't want to see it close back below the halfway point of this candle, because that would tell me this level that was a breakout level didn't break out. And Fuel Cell, you could get ready to buy this one with the anticipation if it comes back up to the 200, you might have a bobble breakout. But then you want to see what it does once it does get to the 200. HGEN, you can stay long and you can still even buy this one on strength because that's your classic pattern, which means you've got a high probability it's in wave 3 going higher. ANGO, another one that if it bounced off the 50, it's going to the 200. You want to see what happens at that level. As a reminder, what if the 5 lines you use on your charts? You've got the red, which is the 200-day simple moving average. The blue, 50-day simple moving average. They are the levels that everybody in the world makes their decisions as far as their portfolios for buying and selling. We want to see what they're doing at those levels. The 34 works reasonably well, and it fits into the category of a secondary support and resistance. That it works reasonably well. And then the black line is the most important. You can take everything else off this chart and use the T line, the 8 exponential moving average. Then the little green line is the 3T line, which kind of enhances the credibility of the T line. Some people say, well, why don't you use the 20? If you want to use the 20, throw it on here. If you want to use the 100, throw it on here. But if you have something on your chart and it doesn't seem to help a whole lot, take it off, because you want to keep your chart as clear as possible because this is the important factor, is the buy signals and the sell signals. Is it still a buy? It's got a bullish Marabuzu, should be careful of that. What you want to do is see why they did this. This is part of that RARE process, research analysis, reverse engineering. If you see the bullish signal and it's big, go to your news and find out what caused that. Now, if this was an upgrade, that doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot. That's just a change of supply and demand. If this was an approval of one of their products, or they got a big contract, something that's going to change the whole fundamental outlook of this company, yeah, might have a lot more upside. Does buy if it opens positive simply mean buy if the stock opens above the previous day's close? Sometimes they open at various places. Buy on positive trading means that the market isn't falling out of bed, that it's still moving in the direction we expect the market to be moving, and the stock is opening flat or slightly positive, and we will do an entry and exit strategy session. So again, for members, sometimes they open lower, so you don't do anything. But if the buying starts to continue and comes back up through the previous day's close, that means they just opened it lower and the bulls were still there. That's when you start buying. So there's different little techniques to use to tell you that this is still confirming. Again, kind of illustrating some of these shorts today that we were ready to short. This one, HII, where'd my cursor go? I've lost my cursor. Had this opened lower. The fact that it opened positive told us that they aren't selling this. I'm going to stay out of this one. Oh man, it's 10 o'clock. Kept everybody up past their bedtime. All right, everybody. We will see you bright and early tomorrow morning. We'll see you then.